Hi, my name is Josh Sweeney, and welcome to the Company Culture Check video series. We're on site today with Shawn Brown and the team at SnapTech IT to learn about their amazing company culture. Shawn, thank you for having us today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us for a little while.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to learn more about SnapTech IT's culture and how you've built an amazing company culture. So to get started, tell us a little bit about SnapTech IT.
So SnapTech is a full-service IT managed services company. We focus on security and compliance for our clients. And we've got a number of different types of clients that we work with too, right? So some of our clients we serve as the full, complete outsourced IT department for those clients. So for those clients, we do everything from help desk to network operations management, to remote monitoring and management, to special projects, security type things, compliance type offerings. And then for other clients that already have an existing IT department, we serve as kind of a part of their IT department. So we'll do different things for them. Like, we may come in and fill a special role of, a security, part of their team, or we might fill a project role, or we might do network monitoring and management just for them. So it kind of depends on their situation, and we can kind of tailor a solution to meet their needs.
So Shane, tell me a little bit about yourself and your role at SnapTech IT.
So I'm a single father of three teenagers. Got the opportunity to complete a long-term dream of mine of moving to the East Coast, and I've known Shawn and the team for quite a while. And when the need came up for somebody in my position, it was definitely very intriguing, and I jumped at the opportunity to be able to fulfill the dream of mine and also help them complete some dreams of their own and help grow the team into what we want to become.
Well, I'm a native East Coaster, so welcome. We're happy to have you.
Thank you very much.
It's my dream to stay here on the East Coast. I love it. Everything about it. I go visit the other places. So tell us, what is your role at SnapTech IT, and what does that entail?
My role here at SnapTech IT is Director of Operations, and so with that duty comes the responsibility of managing all of the service delivery teams, helping to make sure that we're taking care of our clients, addressing all of their concerns and challenges that they're experiencing, while still trying to make sure that we're as efficient as possible within the team. And we've got the right number of people to answer the phones and address the tickets, but to make sure that we also are utilizing our tool sets and our documentation and doing all the other back-end stuff that we can to help minimize the client's issues and challenges.
What's your role here at SnapTech IT?
I'm the IT director for SnapTech IT, and I'm in charge of the ITMs, the IT managers. And the function of the IT managers is to make sure that our clients are compliant with our standards. So we have a set standards for technology, standards for security. So we'll go through the clients, we'll check, are their firewalls up to date? Are the firewall rules set correctly? Are their password complexity rules set correctly? Are they using two-factor? Are they using hosted services that could save them some costs on infrastructure or hardware? And then based on that, we create proposals and an IT roadmap, and we basically make sure that the client is kept up to date, their documentation, backups, and we do that on a quarterly basis. And that's what I'm in charge of for the team. We also do change management. So if there's a change in environment, so if a client calls up and says, hey, we want to put in this new server, we handle that change. We discuss it with the client, we make sure there's no additional costs involved, documentation, planning, all of that. And that's what we do for the ITMs.
Jen, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role here at SnapTech IT.
Well, I am local to the area, and I am the service coordinator, which means I distribute the workloads to the different technicians and see if there's any type of trends that occur within our company. Anything I can point out to see if there's a larger problem taking place.
So when you're redistributing and you're looking at these trends, are you using a certain software or system that you use that helps you with all that analysis?
Yes, we do have a software system here that we do use, and it is extremely helpful in finding trends, especially if we use keywords and other types like that.
So with uptime being such a big part of it and working with clients, and I know, everybody with a computer challenge or a hosting issue or whatever it might be, that's a lot of people that are contacting you for amazing service. What is built into your company culture that helps you hire the people that are going to give the best to your customers?
Sure, great question. I think one of the things that for me, it kind of all stems in our core values, right? And so we've got 5 core values that I think play into that. The first core value that we have is building trust. And so we always talk about trust in the organization, trust in our team members, trust in our clients, and trust with our vendors, right? And so with that, we learned a couple years ago that in trying to build a company culture around trust, there's a couple of things that you need to do. One of them is you'll end up having, we call it the gap, right? And the gap is what happens between what your expectation is and what the person's actions actually were. And so for us, we talk all the time about how do we fill that gap with trust versus suspicion. So an example might be, let's say that I'm having a meeting that starts at 9 o'clock and one of our team members walks in at 9:15. So I can either trust and go, you know what, that person is responsible, they're always on time, they've got to have a great reason why they're 15 minutes late to this meeting. Or I could fill that with suspicion and say, oh, they don't value our time, they didn't value that meeting that we were going to have. And so that suspicion ends up being just kind of a cancer in the company. Accountability in our organization really kind of goes back to one of our core values and kind of taking the initiative, right? And so we like for people not to hit roadblocks or not to, say I can't get something done and leave it for the next team member. I like for them to be accountable for the work that they've got to get done, to set that next team member up for success. For us, we've got core values that kind of help support it, right? And the make it better core value, I think, is kind of part of that too. But just teamwork is the biggest point. We like for people to really feel like that they're on a team, that we trust them to do their job. We give them a lot of flexibility in that, right? We've got work to do, and we do very serious work. Doing IT security is
Right.
security. In general is pretty serious work. But I think teamwork is what really is the basis of that.
I would think the thing that really stands out to me the most, and one of the biggest things I'm looking for in individuals, is that make it better aspect.
Okay.
We're all about growing the company, growing our team, growing our abilities, and so that's one of the main focuses. One of the main reasons I was brought onto the team was to help make it better, help improve the efficiency, help this team scale, and be structured in a way that we can double the size of our company and do it successfully.
For me, I like to make things better. That's one of our core values. Writing SOPs, so if I come across something and I know it's going to be complicated for somebody or something that's repetitive, I'll create an SOP, so I'll make it better. I'll do the right thing. For instance, sometimes you may come across a situation where what you need to do doesn't match the standard that SnapTech, for instance, that's not our standard, but it's the right thing for the customer. I'll go ahead and do the right thing. Sometimes you got to make that hard decision. And the fanatical customer service, that's another big one. I'm big on customer service. I do not like having the customer upset, angry, frustrated at us. I want to help them resolve the issue. So that's some of the things I like to focus on.
So our core values, the foundational core value that we have is build trust, right? And we kind of mentioned that a little bit earlier, the whole trust versus suspicion. And we talk about and are always asking ourselves and our team, fill that gap with trust and not suspicion, right? Our second core value is fanatical customer service, right? And so in the business that we're in, I always tell people, we are in the customer service business. We just happen to deliver awesome IT solutions, right?
Got it.
Because you got to have great customer service, because the people that are calling, your customers that are calling you are not having a good day when they're having to call, right? And so
Right.
we've got to do everything we can to build a relationship with them and show them that we care. Our next one is just do the right thing, right? And so I always tell our team, we will make every decision with our customer's best interest in mind. I'm not worried about us. We'll be just fine. But let's make every decision with their best interest in mind. And that really stems from the top too, right? I'm not going to make a decision and go, hey, we could sell this client X, or I could sell this client Y. X is the right solution, but Y's got this kickback and I'm going to earn more margin on it. Well, we're always going to pick X. We're always going to do whatever is right for our customer. The next is just take the initiative, right? We want people to feel empowered to just get that job done. Don't let a roadblock stand in your way. Power through it and get it done. And the last one is just make it better, right? And so for us, that's, make that process better, make that solution better, make yourself better. And so training is a big component of what we do. And so we talked a little bit about that training program that we have in place. And then to kind of reinforce those core values, we do a state of the company every quarter. And that state of the company, Carl and I get up and go through these core values and give examples of the core values that we have caught people or that have been reported to us in our L10s, over the quarter of people just, being great examples of those core values. So we share those stories in this meeting. And then we also sit down in that meeting and share that 10-year target, that 3-year picture, that 1-year plan, and then, how do we do this past quarter on our rocks, and then, hey, this is the direction moving forward for this coming up quarter. And don't be surprised if you don't see some of these components of our company rocks filter down into your personal L10 that you're in to help generate that alignment.
So you said one of them is build trust. Mm-hmm. You also mentioned fanatical customer support. So with fanatical customer support, how do you make that happen?
In our industry and what we do, it's difficult, right? Because nobody ever calls up and goes, hey, just want to tell you my computer's running great today. Thanks for everything you guys do.
Right.
Doesn't happen, right? Most of the calls that we get are, something's running slow or something's just not working the way they want, or they want to make some kind of change in their environment. So how we try to deliver that fanatical customer service is we hire people that are very technical, but can actually hold a conversation with someone. We try to teach them things to listen for and cues to pick up on. And then we try to teach them, hey, these people are not technical that we're speaking with, so let's not talk geek to them, right? And let's help them kind of understand in non-technical terms how we fix and how we need to take care of them.
Got it. So how do you test for those core values during the hiring process?
Oh, great question. So a couple of years ago, or I guess about a year ago, we read a book from Patrick Lencioni called The Ideal Team Player. And so what the ideal team player really did was give us a vocabulary and some stories around, what the characteristics of a great team player are, right? And in that book, we learned that a great team player is really someone that's humble, hungry, and smart. And so we've got questions that we ask around humble, hungry. And when we talk about smart, we're not talking about technically smart. We're talking about people smart, right? Do they walk into a room and say something that just ticks off half the people in the room? Or are they more, self-aware and people-aware? And so we ask specific questions in our interviewing process to help understand, is this person going to be a great team player or not? Can they listen and respond to a question, that is applicable and makes sense to them?
For me, the culture is very noticeable difference from what I've seen in other places. What I mean by that is the culture here is a very strong, very adhered by culture. And let me give you an example. We had a candidate that we were looking to bring on board. And in looking at his resume, doing the phone interviews and conversations with him, he looked like a really solid A player. It wasn't until the final interview, where we had him interview with what would have been a fellow team member, that we uncovered some core value mismatches with him. We had some serious discussions and debated back and forth on what direction to go. And in the end, we decided not to make the hire based simply off of a conflict of our core values. So the fact that we believe so strongly in our core values that we're willing to take a chance on missing out on somebody's skill set because it may be a complete conflict with the core values, is a pretty remarkable thing. And not a lot of companies believe in their core values that strong, and not that many companies have owner buy-in on the core values, and owners that honor and adhere to the core values like the team does here at SnapTech IT.
So when I had my first phone interview, I was asked a ton of questions, and one in particular is, what am I looking for in the company? And I said a few things, but one of them was company culture. That's a big aspect for me. You're at work more than you're at home. And it sets the pace for how your day runs. If you're all working as a team, then you work more efficiently and you just have a happier outlook on a daily basis. And I appreciated that when I said that, it was reciprocated. And they said that that's actually something that they look for in candidates, is someone who wants to be a part of the team and not somebody who's just coming in to make money or just to get through the day. And I appreciated that we were on the same line when it came to what we were both looking for. And there were other aspects as well, but I truly appreciated that they were seeing things the same way I was seeing things. Our ideas and what we were looking for lined up.
I do the first interview for most candidates that we're looking to bring on. If I like them, then I'll bring in other team members. But typically the only interviews that occur before I do is for our HR resource. She's usually filtering out the complete core value mismatches.
Okay.
So if they get to me, they've passed her radar, but there are quite a few that don't pass my radar because obviously I can talk to them from a little bit more technical experience than she can. There's certain things that in her mind, she might see that they're hungry and driven. But when I start asking them questions and realize that they really haven't done much to advance their education and they don't really have the emphasis on certifications and education like we need them to have, that becomes to me a very strong core value mismatch.
So in that process, are there specific questions you use on a recurring basis to see if they're aligned with your culture?
There's a handful of questions that I'll ask during the interviews, some of which will be simply, what do you do to stay on top of technology? Technology is an ever-changing environment. How do you stay up to date on all of those changes? Sometimes just by their simple responses, I can learn a lot from just that. I'm also looking for, what types of certifications do you have? What certifications are you looking to get in the future? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And through just a series of those basic questions, a lot of times it can tell me a lot about how willing they are to improve and grow. And I had one candidate that I interviewed, and he told me where he wanted to be in 5 years. And so we started to have a discussion around it. And I was like, that's great. That's an awesome direction to go in your career. What do you think it's going to take to get there? What skill sets and things might you need to gain knowledge on? He couldn't tell me. And that was pretty concerning. If that's your passion, if that's where you want to be in 5 years and you have no idea how to get there or how big of a gap there is, you probably should start figuring that out.
My favorite question to ask is, do you play WoW? I used to ask that all the time. World of Warcraft.
Now it's Fortnite or what's
now,
the name?
Now it should be Fortnite. Yeah, do you play Fortnite? And for me, I was such a big gamer, and there's this whole culture around gaming and having these teams and organizing these teams and doing large raids with 50 plus people. It just shows some communication skills and then also some computer skills as well. Not everyone that plays games is good at computers, but the majority are, or at least they're familiar with it. So it makes it easier to get them to kind of incorporate our practices and our standards.
So in the terms of learning from books that are out there, I also know you happen to use Traction from Gino Wickman.
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about how that came about, and then how you think that has affected the culture of the business and how it's managed. Because with the entrepreneur operating system, there's a lot of processes there. I'm sure there's some change management that had to happen, and there's an impact to the team. So what do you have? What do you have to share about that?
Yeah, so we first discovered Traction in about 2015. And at that time, we were merging two organizations together. So I don't know if I mentioned it, we have an office here in Atlanta, one in Phoenix, and one in San Francisco. So as we were merging these two organizations together, we used Traction and the EOS model to help come together, set our core values, set our vision, use that vision traction organizer to get those two organizations on the same page, and to really define core values that were not aspirational, but were really our core values. And so from there, the EOS system has been phenomenal, right? We use it to do our 2-day planning meeting at the beginning of every year to set the company vision for the upcoming year. We do our quarterly meetings, to help set the next quarter's kind of rocks or goals, whichever terminology you like to use. We use that to set our next company's rocks for the quarter and to make sure that we're all still on the same page and heading in the right direction. On a weekly schedule, everybody in our company is in their own L10 meeting. So we do leadership L10 meetings, we do team L10 meetings, so everybody in the company is in their own L10 meeting. So that really helps kind of drive that culture all the way through.
How do you make the leap from talking about work items to getting to know somebody in another location at that level? What's kind of ingrained that makes that happen or makes that come to fruition?
Well, of course, being an IT company, we have a lot of different technologies to be able to get to know someone, like chat or email or picking up the phone, or we have Life Size, which is kind of like Skype. But it's encouraged to communicate just in general with your employees. It's encouraged to get to know them. I will be working and then be thinking of something, and I know that somebody else in a different office is around my age, so I will write them and be like, hey, do you remember this? And then that strikes up a conversation and creates a different level of relationship to where we become more comfortable with each other. And it's just encouraged to find out what somebody's doing. And we have meetings every Friday, and it is company-wide. And so at the beginning of that meeting, we discuss what is our personal best for the week. And so getting to know people when they say, it's my son's birthday this week, I'm really excited. I get to know my employees, my coworkers, in that fashion as well.
Yeah, so we feel like there's a couple of things that you've got to do in order to make sure you've got the same culture across multiple office locations like that. One of the first things we use obviously some technology to help with that, right? And so we use Microsoft Teams to help build that kind of teamwork and provide them a platform to be able to post things about happy birthdays and post funny videos and just kind of talk back and forth with each other. So that's one of the things we do. We use video a lot, right? And so you saw earlier we walked kind of through our video conferencing kind of room. And so every meeting that we can do on video, we like to do it on video because we feel like even though it's on a screen, it's still a face-to-face kind of conversation. So, and our teams, whenever they get together for their L10 meetings, are across multiple offices. And so we'll do video calls again across all offices. We also did a fun thing, I think it was last year. Every office has got an Xbox and an Xbox account, and we got together and threw it up on one of our projectors in each of the offices, and all of the team played video games against each other. So nothing builds teamwork like running around shooting each other.
Right. It's the new version of paintball. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Right. It was virtual paintball.
Right.
There you go.
Gotcha. So this year's going to be some big Fortnite competition, obviously.
Apparently so.
Right.
Apparently, if my kids have anything to do with it, it would be a Fortnite competition.
Fortnite dance-offs. Are
That's
you doing any of those too? Seeing that a lot.
Yeah.
So talking about, a little bit of humor around, Fortnite dancing, all that brings a smile,
Right.
especially watching our kids do it. That's pretty funny.
Yep.
I also understand that you have something you call the Shake and Bake program. And all I think
Oh,
is
yes.
shake and bake, Ricky Bobby.
Well,
Does it
that's
come from that?
we totally stole
Tell
the
me the
name from
story.
that, right?
Okay.
No doubt, we totally stole the name of our Shake and Bake challenge from that funny movie. So anyway, we were trying to come up with a unique kind of fun name for this reward and recognition program, and so we just said, let's just call it Shake and Bake, right? So what it is we have these SnapTech branded poker chips, and different people get rewarded, these poker chips. It gives us an opportunity to kind of go out and just, hey man, thanks for doing a great job on solving this problem. Or what I really like about it is we try to catch people doing or giving an example of our core values, right? Or
Okay.
catch people doing something great. And when we do that, we reward them with a poker chip, right? And team recognition. So it might be in one of our huddle meetings that someone gives out a poker chip for great work done, or someone may be walking down out in the middle of the office and just, hey, you did a great job with that client. Here's a poker chip. And so they get poker chips all throughout the month, and then at the end of the month, they can basically turn in their poker chips for a spot in the raffle for different prizes.
Okay.
And so every month we kind of raffle off different prizes, and however many poker chips you turn in, you get that many kind of virtual raffle spots, since we got 3 offices.
Yeah.
And we give away all kinds of things like comp days and USB speakers and Bluetooth speakers and gift cards and drones and remote control cars and just all kinds of crazy stuff. If you can buy it on Amazon, I'm buying it and giving it away.
Right. Make it easy. Get it shipped here. I love it. So that's part of the incentive and retention program, right? That's baked in is the Shake and Bake program, and you also have done a number of pretty cool outings. So tell me about the houseboat party.
So we actually rented a lake house. I think
Okay.
it was 4th of July one year. We rented a lake house for a weekend and just said, everybody bring your family, bring your kids. We bought all the food and just provided them a place. Since we're up here by the lake, our office in Atlanta is up here by the lake. A lot of people, some people stayed for the night. Some people just treated it as a daytime spot. But we had a couple of jet skis out there. We had a boat out there, and we just had a kind of a great time hanging out with each other out on the lake. It was awesome.
Nice. So do y'all get together do you set like a recurring basis that you make sure everybody gets together just to spend time, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so we do quarterly fun days.
Okay.
And so we budget and plan for it. And my business partner, Randy Crockett out in Arizona, that's part of his job and responsibilities, make sure we
Okay.
get those budgeted and planned for. And so every quarter we get together and just do some kind of fun day. Like we'll go, bowling. I think the one we did this past quarter is we did a big barbecue and swim party at my house, and our Arizona team did it at my partner Carl's house.
Nice. That's awesome. Have you found that somebody on the team is really the one that takes care of all of the scheduling around this?
Somebody's
or
got
is
to
it
be
you?
responsible. It's not me. It's Randy. And,
Okay.
but somebody's got to be responsible for it. So,
Yeah.
Because we get so busy in our just day-to-day work that if someone's not responsible to make sure it gets done, we'll just get busy and forget. And so
Right.
it's important stuff. And so we got to make sure that we get it done.
So earlier you mentioned that your value is to make it better. And part of that is training. You talked about the level 10 and how you bake training into that. Tell me a little bit about the training program and what the process is to decide who gets trained, how they get trained, and how that makes you have a better culture.
Got it. So great question. So training is a big part of technology in general, because it changes every day, and our core value of make it better, we feel like that means yourself too, right? And so we have this thing, it's called every year the name changes to the date, and so this year is the 2018 training challenge. And so what we do is we get everybody access to an online training software that has just hundreds of different training titles and videos that they can go access. So everybody gets access into that training platform. I also will purchase all the training materials that they need, regardless of what it is, practice tests, books, whatever. And so we buy training materials for everybody depending on whatever certification they want to go obtain. I'll actually even pay for the certification test, and then when they pass the test, we'll give them a $150 bonus for just passing that test. And now our training challenge is from January 1st to December 31st is the timeline for every year, and whoever passes the most certification test for that year earns our doctoral degree. And we give them $1,500 towards a vacation that they can use. If they come in second place, they earn the master's degree, and I think that's like $750 towards a vacation. And third place, wins a bachelor's degree, and they get I think $500 towards a vacation of wherever they want to go.
I love it. Have you ever had anybody just totally blow out the number of certs and make you kind of question if you need some caps or anything like that?
No, because I love the fact that they're getting trained, right? And so it just increases the knowledge of our team and just raises the entire organization. So the more certs we can get in a year, the better and the stronger that we're going to be.
So for Snap, we actually have a training program. It's a competition. At the end of the year, whoever has taken the most certifications, and this is going to a testing facility and getting an actual cert, they get a certain amount of money towards a trip, and that's the big part of the competition. So right now I'm in the lead with 2 certifications this year. So I've taken one in the first quarter, and I just passed one on this Monday for the second quarter. So I'm just waiting for everyone else to step up and to pass their certification that they're going to take. But that's the goal. And not only that, SnapTech pays for the certification for the test, and then I also get an additional bonus for passing the test.
SnapTech really focuses on training.
Okay.
And so not having the experience wasn't vital because they could provide that training for me, what my role required.
Do you do a lot of work around a career path here?
Yeah, so we've really put a strong emphasis on career paths, and we call them career development plans.
Okay.
And through that, we want them to take advantage of a site, an education site that we have a subscription to. This site allows them to go in and review online material, listen to different videos, and basically a hands-on kind of learning lab type environment, if you will. So we want them to document all the different courses that they would need to take to help make sure that they're prepared for the certification. And then we ask for 1 certification per quarter. So that's something that's a little new, the 1 certification per quarter. Before it was kind of more of, at least 1 certification a year. So I've kind of stepped up the game a little bit and said, guys, if we're going to get where we want to be in the next 3 years, we all need to improve, in our areas that we have weaknesses in. And so through that, I've made the requirement that that's 1 certification a quarter. So it's going to take a fair amount of work on their behalf, and but you know what, we're purchasing subscriptions and things to help them learn. We pay for the tests, and we want to do everything we can to help them get that, because not only is it going to benefit them in whatever their future careers might be, but we also know that it's going to help our customers have that much better of an experience.
What are some of the intangibles that people may not get around about your culture until they've worked here for a while? What are the things that happen in the office that give a certain vibe or a certain feel that you like and that are unique to SnapTech IT?
The culture here is pretty unique in the way that everybody is seen as a huge value to the team. We all understand how important each different position, each role is within the company, which is similar to a lot of companies. One of the things for me that really stood out is the emphasis on family, and having, really wanting to make sure that there's that work-life balance. Now, don't get me wrong, we work in an IT company, we're on call all the time, there's always, plenty of work to be done. So it can be a bit challenging at times to balance that. But at the same point, if someone has something going on for their kids, a school play or school function, medical emergency, things like that, we want to do everything we can to make sure that they have the time off that they need to get those things completed. So that's one thing that's very strong here is we're real big about making sure that we help to manage that work-life balance as best as possible, while still ensuring that our clients and our staff, are able to get all their make sure our staff is able to get their stuff done and make sure our clients are taken care of.
My favorite part is that we're a family. We have 3 different offices, and I know exactly where everybody is in their life at the different offices, and that's hard when you're talking to someone in Arizona to actually know them on a different level than just a work level. And I think that brings in the family aspect that is encouraged to get to know your employees even though you're long distance,
Right.
and get to know them on a different level.
We're kind of moving in that direction, as the company grows and expands and we get more employees, we have to have some kind of corporate policy in place, right? But it doesn't, if I'm late, it's not a big deal, right? It's, if I need to take some personal time off because maybe my daughter, she has an emergency, I need to go pick her up, it's not a big deal to go and do that. I can just get up and go and everybody understands. It's built on this kind of trust relationship. So for me, that's what I feel about it.
Those values around kind of the work-life balance and family friendly, does that play into the location, you think? And the difference of being downtown?
So our location, being in northern Atlanta, definitely could play a factor in that a little bit.
Okay.
But I feel that even on our West Coast teams, that there's a very strong emphasis out there as well
Gotcha.
for that. So I don't feel that location necessarily has a big play on that. Okay. However, I would say that after living in California for 40 years and now just recently moving here, I can tell it's a complete culture shock to my kids and to myself as well. So much different of an environment, so much slower pace, and a big family focus in a lot of areas, especially the small town that I now live in. And so that might play a little bit more of a factor.
Okay.
But I definitely would say that as far as our core company values, it is very strong in all locations.
So when I came in, I saw that there's multiple signs around the office that say if it's not in ConnectWise, it doesn't exist. So is ConnectWise the software that you use to manage the team, or do you use some other things as well?
ConnectWise is the main software,
Okay.
and that is a true statement that
Okay.
is said almost weekly, and it's where you put your time and your notes to where other technicians or other people in the company can go in and have access to all the same information. So it's shared throughout the entire company so everybody can use it.
How is that mantra ingrained into the culture here? So how do you, obviously it's on multiple signs, but what other ways does that come up in your organization?
Well, communication flow is absolutely the top, I would say, thing we focus on the most, because you can't really run efficiently if you're not communicating constantly.
Right.
And communication is vertical as well as horizontal. And I think that falls in line with ConnectWise because that's the hub of information. But it is definitely something that we all strive for, communicating with each other so you can find different trends or issues, or that everybody's on the same page, just in general.
So were you in this industry, were you in the MSP space before you came to SnapTech IT?
I was not. I was in the medical field,
Okay.
and I had not had much experience in the IT field, and I saw this job posting pop up, and it did say that no experience was required.
Okay.
So I took a chance and I applied. And through the interview process, I realized that I didn't need the IT experience that I was nervous about.
You said that it said no experience required. So that's a pretty tough thing for a company to do. What do you think is unique about SnapTech IT and their culture and what they do that makes that possible? Because in a lot of places, they're looking at your skills first, and if you have no background in it, they don't even look at your resume. So what do you think is unique here that made that possible? When we came in, we saw that at the front office, there's this amazing massage chair.
Absolutely.
You got a little excited about that, I see. So tell me about the massage chair. How do people make time to use it, and how does that help you in your job?
Funny story. When I came in for my interview, it was the first thing I noticed. I didn't say anything. I'm not one to point it out to ask questions. So I went through the interview process, and as I was leaving, I casually just pointed out the massage chair. I haven't seen that in an office before. And I was immediately ushered into the massage chair and told, hey, try it out. And not saying that won me over, but it did have some brownie points. But it just showed that giving back to the employees is a huge thing at this company, which is an aspect I know I appreciate, and I think other people appreciate as well. But I think that just goes to show that it's more about the employees rather than the numbers. And if you make your employees happy, obviously the clients will be happy as well.
I also heard that you were the first employee.
Yes.
How's that been?
It's been a ride.
Yeah?
Started about 11 years ago.
So from 11 years ago, how would you say the culture's evolved, right? So first employee, there's a few people in the office, right? And that's a different challenge from culture. So what's evolved? Give us a picture of what's evolved over 11 years from being some of the first person in, and how it looks today, and what are the things that have stayed the same about the culture? What are the things maybe you've learned from? Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Well, when I started, we didn't have an office.
Okay.
I actually met in Shawn, and in Shawn's basement. That was the office. My first office was what I call a cloffice.
Okay. Office.
It was actually
wasn't
my
in
closet.
New York or San Francisco.
No, it was my closet. I had my desk in there, my computer, and then I worked remotely all the time. So I would travel all over the place. Culturally, it changed when we brought on our first engineer. I had to learn how to train them and bring them into our processes. As we grew, we had to learn new functions, new processes to help get everybody on board doing the same thing. So it was definitely a change. It's always changing. I don't think it's always the same.
I've heard processes from a few different people at SnapTech IT, so that seems to be a really common thread. And I like processes myself and get them written, but how do you stay on top of not only updating them, but enforcing them and making sure people are following them? How does that play into the business?
Well, every time something new or something changes, we try to write a process. So if we have to do it again, the next person that needs to do that process can do it the right way. It's something that we review, I guess, on a weekly basis. I know in one of my meetings, we're looking for updating SOPs or procedures.
Okay.
Anytime something new comes out, usually I'll review it and kind of write, the initial SOP on how to do it or how to implement that process. And then as we're going through, people will come across something because it's been updated. It's no longer the same. They'll say, hey, we need to update this. So I'll work with them on updating it.
So you actually bring this up in your meeting? Are you able to run reports and see ones that haven't been updated in a long time and revisit them, or do you look at the timestamps on them to see what give people credit that they took action? How do you see what action's happening around that update?
Yeah, so we actually have a table at the top that tells us when it was written.
Okay.
And then inside, we use IT Glue for our documentation. We can run reports and see when the document was updated. Gives you a little timestamp. So we could see if something hasn't been updated in a year, we might need to revisit. In fact, on a yearly basis, I kind of go through SOPs and I'll update them, especially for our internal processes.
Okay. And have you always enjoyed updating and keeping up with those as kind of process part of who you are, or is there somebody else that really makes that happen?
I think it's just who I am.
Okay.
A good example actually at the daycare, or not the daycare, sorry, my daughter's gymnastics. Their wireless was down. It was driving me insane because usually while she's doing gymnastics on the side, I'll do a little bit of work. And the wireless has been down for several weeks. So I just went up to him and said, hey, do y'all care if I fix your wireless for you? And they said, no, we've been waiting forever for someone to fix it. So I actually set it up for them. And not only that, but I wrote them an SOP. Hey, the next time this happens, just follow this document and you can do it yourself. So I think it's just naturally in me. And when I see something that's complicated, I'll just go ahead and write a process for it, submit it.
Gotcha. And you've been here, you said, for 11 years?
Yeah, this will be my 11th year.
Awesome. So over 11 years, that's a pretty long retention, right?
Yeah.
Especially this day and age. So what do you think has contributed, or what would you attribute to that retention? What is the retention strategy here with you and with other employees that really gives that longevity?
Yeah. For me, I think it's when I get up every day, I'm excited to go to work. The technology that we get to touch, the interaction with the customers, the involvement, or I guess the company evolving into what it is now. I mean, when I was brought on board, we didn't have any of this stuff. I mean, I was putting notes in the notepad and storing it on a file server in someone's basement. To now we have sophisticated systems, IT Glue for documentation, we have Automate for our remote management tools. We didn't have any of that. And it's growing. So every year it's changing. We're bringing in new systems. We're constantly reevaluating and making things better. So for me, that keeps me excited and keep doing what I'm doing.